It's the nation's favourite antiques experts.
Yes, a good weight.
And it smells.
Oh, steady, behind the wheel of a classic car.
Good morning, my lady.
Good morning, Parker.
And a goal to scar Britain for antiques. Whoopsie.
Come on.
The aim to make the biggest profit at auction. But it's no mean feat. There'll be worthy winners.
And valiant losers.
Will it be the high road to glory?
It's about winning.
Or the low road to disaster? Pop, pop. This is the Antiques Road Trip. Oh, yeah. It's a glorious day for one last run out with this couple of happy chappies.
I think this has to be one of the most scenic road trips ever.
It's been
in
fantastic.
history.
Delightful, isn't it? Our experts Rue Irvin and Angus Ashworth are driving through dramatic Dartmoor en route to their final shopping expedition.
I think the roads we are taking mirror our auction's highs and lows. Dips and peaks.
You mean we've been heading south and down?
You're not kidding, Angus. Last time out, our two had high hopes for their purchases.
Does it say the magic words?
Yes, it does.
Look at the size of that key.
But at the auction, the bidders were less than impressed. It was a bit of a disappointment for Angus,
That should have flown.
and it wasn't much more fun for Rue either.
Wowzer. That was almost like, you know, when you have a bad dream. And
Yes.
you're kind of like, pinch me, someone, pinch me. Tell me it's a dream.
It wasn't a dream, was it?
All too real, I'm afraid. Angus began this trip with £200, and after various ups and downs, he's a little less well off, with £193.38. But Rue, bless her, has had a bit of a disaster. She started off with the same amount and did quite well to begin with, but her budget for this final leg now stands at a mere £67.24. Ouch. I think it's the last chance saloon, folks.
You're not in the best of positions. I feel for you, but actually, I'm feeling worried for my first time. I think you can make a major comeback.
Angus, I'm on round about £67. You don't need to feel the pressure.
Well, at least you felt like $1 million tooling round in your roller, eh?
This is now my last chance to drive this beautiful Rose, and I am going to miss her incredibly. We have went through all these days of shopping and driving, and thankfully not a scratch on the car.
That's good.
Very good.
Let's try and keep it that way for one last time, eh? We started this journey in Northern Ireland, wandered through Wales, and now it's going to come to a head in the West Country. All roads will eventually lead to a final auction in Clevedon, but we start today on the edge of Dartmoor at Ashburton.
How is this for door-to-door service, mister?
That is wonderful. Fantastic driving, Rue.
Well, thank you very much. Now have fun.
Angus's first port of call is the Shambles. Good name for an antique shop, and also described their last auction.
Hello.
Oh, hi there. Hello.
Angus,
Nice
how
to
you
meet
doing? You all right?
Yeah, fine.
Great. What a lovely looking shop.
Yeah.
Stephanie's got all sorts in here. Some pretty things, some not so much. Plenty for Angus to ponder.
This is a very weird looking, interesting item. This is what I'd call a barograph. These have been around for a very long time, right back to the early 19th century, and originally they're in nice mahogany cases, lovely brasswork, and you have this drum here, and you have a paper cylinder that goes over the top, which is a chart, and then the pressure in the atmosphere controls these, which have ink on them, and they plot a graph, which then you can predict the weather from. Nowadays, we get our mobile phone out, we click the weather app, it tells us what it is. Back then, you would have looked at this and got your daily graphs to predict the weather. This one's probably sort of 1950s, 60s in date, so it's not as aesthetically pleasing as the early ones, which do sell for very good money. What have we got on this one? £38. Not for me, but what a quirky little thing.
Might be something that Rue would like, though. She's certainly feeling the pressure. She's arrived at the market town of Newton Abbot, and her first shop, decades of antiques. There's lots to get her hands on in here, but her current budgetary restraints are going to limit her options a bit. How are you coping, Rue?
I can't believe I have £67 left. And I'm surrounded by antiques and collectibles, and I'm seeing them, but I'm not seeing them. What can I get that's going to help me make profit and not just buy something for the sake of it? A pound of shelves? Maybe not.
Come on, Rue. You can do it. Must be something that jumps out at you.
I have to admit, I've never seen coral bakelite before. These kinds of sets you will see in every single antique shop and every auction. Plain bakelite handles. They're a wee bit boring because they're everywhere. But look at that colour. It is actually quite beautiful. And the best part, they're £12, which is not much money at all. But what I don't like is this slightly tatty box. But if I could swap them into the nice box, then bang, suddenly they look like a presentable item that I can take to auction.
It's a bit of a cheek, but you need every advantage you can get, girl. Better have a word with the owner.
Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
Now, I've spotted these coral bakelite butter knives. They are quite different, but I've got 2 boxes here because I'm going to ask a favour. They are a good price at £12, but I rather like this box. So what I'm thinking is, could I have those knives, but with this box?
You certainly can.
Perfect. Brilliant. Thank you. Well, what I'll do, I'll leave them here and carry on browsing.
OK.
Thank you, Andrea.
I'll swap them over for you.
Thank you.
Well, them as don't ask, don't get, as I'm sure they say often in Devon. Back down the road in Ashburton, Angus is in full rummage mode.
What an interesting thing. I always love these cabinets full of bits. You never know what you're going to pull out. And here is something quite fascinating. It is an ocarina, which is a musical instrument. And this type of instrument dates back for thousands of years. This one's got an impressed maker stamp on it there. Made in Germany, Vienna. Well, that's interesting because obviously Vienna is Austrian.
Probably made during World War II then, when Austria became part of Germany. Go on then, give it a toot. Jingle bells. Well done.
Not particularly hugely valuable, but interesting. What have we got on it? £28. I think it's worth a punt of that sort of money. Who knows? I mean, it could be my victory song or my swan song.
Right then, Maestro. Let's talk to Stephanie.
Hello.
Oh, hi there.
Hi, I found this.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. Ocarina.
Nice.
£28 on it. Is there any help on that to help
Yeah,
out a poor,
all right.
lovely young Yorkshireman?
£20 cash.
£20. Right, great. I'll have that. Thank you very
good.
much. There we go.
That's
Simple
great.
as see. I
Great.
told you I'm
Yeah.
easy.
You were obviously playing her tune, Angus, and that's your first purchase in the bag. This is gonna get very annoying very quickly. In nearby Newton Abbot, Rue's still trying to find that killer item for next to no money.
You don't often see sterling silver and £5 on the same tag.
Oh, what have you spotted?
This is small and dinky. Now, the top is not in the greatest condition. It's got a beautiful pattern to it, but I think there was a layer of enamel on there. And I think that's completely come off. So it is a little bit worse for wear, but it's got its original stopper, which is good. It's cut glass, a beautiful little perfume scent bottle. At auction, even if I make £10 on it, that's doubled my money. It's a safe buy, but you know what? With £67 in my pocket, maybe safe buys are all I can muster.
That'll be a keeper then. Or you could go to the other extreme and buy something completely random.
I've seen something that looks pretty lethal. There's no price on it. But first of all, what is it? I can imagine it's probably held like this and would be used for maybe cutting wheat. And it's got a lot of age and wear to it. If you run your fingers down there, that's still pretty darn sharp. This is something you would actually hang up on the wall or sit in the corner of a country house or a country kitchen. It'd be a purely decorative interior piece. I like the fact it doesn't have a price on it.
Let's find out the damage on that from Andrea. She might even know what it is.
Andrea, stand well back.
You found our hay knife.
Yes. Now, what intrigues me is there's no price on this at all. Do you know if you've had it in long or?
No, that was only just come in and not been priced yet.
Right, well, that's good.
I feel a deal coming on.
If I took all three, could I do a combined total £30 cash?
We can do that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic, brilliant, done deal. I will give you some money.
So that'll be a £5 per the bottle. The knives drop to 10 and 15 for the agricultural implement. Mind you don't lop off a limb on the way out. Huh. Angus, meanwhile, has taken himself off to the port city of Plymouth. With its strong naval connections, you might imagine that rum would be the tipple of choice in these parts, but Angus is here to visit the Plymouth Gin Distillery. to find out the history of this most British of spirits from master distiller Sean Harrison.
When did the British love affair with gin start?
The love affair began in the 30 Years' War, which was 1610 to 1640, over the Low Countries of Europe. And there was English mercenaries going across to that part of the world who were doing the fighting. And they were given this concoction called Geneva. And Geneva is a Dutch word for juniper, so they were given a product that was juniper and alcohol mixed together. And the soldiers would be drinking this product called Geneva before fighting as a means of making them a little bit more wanting to go and fight, shall we say?
Yeah, a bit more courage.
A bit more courage, which is where the expression Dutch courage comes from.
When the English soldiers returned from the war, they brought this Dutch drink back home with them. And then in 1689, William of Orange, a Dutchman, was put on the throne of England.
He did a couple of really important things that made gin drinking take off. He heavily taxed beer and wines, and he made it possible for people to effectively have stills in their own back garden. And it became patriotic because it was a Dutch drink and a Dutch king, and away we went.
In the following decades, gin consumption went through the roof, and the country was gripped by an epidemic of drunkenness. This gin craze was blamed for every social ill, and no amount of legislation seemed to be able to combat it. In 1751, William Hogarth, the cartoonist and social satirist, highlighted the problem in a pair of prints, Beer Street and Gin Lane.
This is summing up what was wrong with gin 200 odd years ago. So you get the pawnbroker here doing really well, you get things falling down and buildings collapsing, and most pointedly, you get the image of the lady sitting in the middle who's too drunk to look after her child.
Hence the mother's ruin.
Hence the mother's ruin. And then Beer Street is saying the exact opposite of that. You've got lots of regeneration going on. You've got dear old Dr. Death being kicked out of town, and everybody's fat, dumb and happy, basically. So effectively, what Hogarth is saying is, stop drinking high-strength spirits, go back to drinking beer, and the world will be a happier place.
These illustrations helped to usher in the 1751 Gin Act, which curbed excessive drinking by licensing distillers and merchants, tackling unscrupulous gin makers and increasing the price of gin. These new regulations also meant that companies making quality spirits could thrive, and so, in 1793, the Plymouth Gin Distillery was founded.
What makes Plymouth such a good place to distill gin?
For two reasons. Geographically, we've got a harbour, so this is how we can get all of our ingredients in, how we can get all of our product out. And then the second one is water. Plymouth was the very first city in the UK to have its municipal water supply, because everybody remembers Francis Drake as being 1588 in the Spanish Armada. He was actually also mayor of Plymouth, and he got water off Dartmoor through aqueducts and brought them down to a reservoir that's literally half a mile from where we're standing. And what that means is that we're able to use good, clean, fresh water into the still. The better quality of ingredients you put in, the better quality you get out.
Having the Royal Navy nearby also helped. They distributed the company's gin all over the rapidly expanding British Empire. And talking of a quality product, Angus is about to have a go at making his own.
And this is exactly the same way that we do it outside in the main still. It's just 28,000 times smaller, that's all. Okay, so the first most important thing is we have to take this alcohol and water and we need to add the flavouring ingredients to it. Behind you are 10 perfectly good gin botanicals.
Okay.
The only one you have to put in is juniper. There we go. So that's the juniper in. So
Okay.
now, legally, we're making gin. Now there is absolutely no rules whatsoever. You can put in as much or as little as you like.
Okay.
As the oldest continuously operating gin distillery in the country, Plymouth has seen the spirit go in and out of fashion down the years. But today, gin is undergoing a renaissance with around 500 brands available in the UK alone. And after half an hour, Angus's creation brings that number to 501.
This could be a breakthrough in the gin industry.
It could be. Spin it around in glass, put your nose in, and have a smell. And there we go. What do you think?
You can smell some,
You can smell some gin?
Yeah, there it is.
Good.
Yeah.
You obviously put enough juniper in. And then there's only one last thing to do, and that's to try it.
Okay. I don't think that's bad. I know I'm going to be biased, but in your expert opinion...
For a first go, that's a pretty good attempt, basically.
Well, I'll drink to that.
Yes, cheers.
Chin chin. Elsewhere in Devon, Rue has high hopes for her future purchases.
If I can find a nice little Georgian glass hidden in the corner on a dusty shelf, £5. Nice bit of silver, £5. Fabergé Royal Imperial Egg, £5.
Hey, dream on, girl. She's making her way to historic Totnes, reputed to have more listed buildings per person than any other town in the UK. Rue's next shop certainly isn't one of them, but it's what it's like on the inside that counts.
This is where you come if you want to furnish your home. Top notch.
I imagine Cunningham Waite's usual clientele has a bit more expendable income than your £37. Still, you can always window shop.
Prayers are 5p each. Put the money in the slot behind the statue of the Virgin Mary.
You could do with some divine intervention, I tell you.
Out of everything I've seen in this wonderful shop, this has to be the most delectable. So what is that? Well, you need to look at the back, really. It's very similar to a water wheel. You actually turn it twice, like so. The wheel starts spinning, the sand comes through, and we should have... There we go.
Isn't that lovely? The height of home entertainment back in 1860. But at £565 each, I think they're staying put.
What Scottish household does not have a quake in it? When you think of a quake, you think of Burns night suppers and Scottish weddings. Two-handled, one person takes each handle and you fill it up with a dram of whiskey.
I think it's actually a porringer, similar to a quaich, but bigger and less Scottish. You might put stew in it.
Now, this one definitely looks like pewter to me, but I'm quite intrigued by these markings on the bottom. It's quite rustic. It's almost medieval. Now, it's not that old, but it's £35.
Which is just about affordable. Might be worth talking to shop owner Sam, though.
Now, I do like it, but it's really rustic. It's quite hard to tell exactly where it's from.
It's a little bit tricky to make them out, isn't it?
I have a limited budget.
Yeah. Go on.
I've got about £37.
Okay,
Yes.
right.
And I wish I could buy everything in here, but this is priced at £35.
It's within budget then.
Ah, he's got your measure, Rue.
Tell me what the absolute best you could do on this. I don't know if you felt my passion there.
35. I did feel your passion. It's already very well priced.
I like it.
If we said 25, and that's a good discount on that.
I know it is, I know. And my current financial misfortune is not your fault. But having said that, could we shake on 20?
Let me have another look. £20. Put it there.
You're amazing. Thank you so much.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, that's a fiver!
You've got to watch her like a hawk, Sam. And that super deal leaves her with a little over £17 to play with. Time we called it a day, don't you think?
Just been on those massive open rolling moors, and now we're back in between the famous high hedges.
We are being squeezed. It's kind of like my budget.
Nighty-night. Dawn breaks on the final day of shopping, and you couldn't have picked a nicer spot.
Lush greenery, rolling hills, beautiful valleys, cows, horses, sheep, ponies. This could almost be Yorkshire.
Well, yeah, it's not a bad attempt.
Some people are just never happy. Yesterday, our wee Scots lassie made her paltry budget go a long way, nabbing a set of tea knives, a porringer, a hay knife, and a silver-topped perfume bottle.
Even if I make £10 on it, that's doubled my money.
And amazingly, she still has a little over £17 left. Our Yorkshire tyke, on the other hand, only paid out £20 for one single item.
Any clues? Is it militaria?
Nope.
Glass?
Nope.
Brass?
Nope.
Class?
No.
What on earth is this? So the hose means it's got to make some kind of sound.
Stop,
Now,
stop,
see, that
stop.
comes from my snake charming background, you see.
Yeah, it gets on your nerves, doesn't it, Angus? We're coming closer to that final auction in Clevedon, but first Angus has parted ways with his chum and headed to Oakhampton. This time was first recorded back in 980 as a crossroads where slaves were freed. Angus is here to liberate an item or two from the cubby hole. What a lovely name.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, Angus? Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Great. Oh, looks like a shop full of bits.
I think Dawn would prefer it if you use the term antiques, Angus. Whatever you call them, there's plenty. Let's see what your £173 and change can get you.
What on earth is this? The Bob Lane Cup. It's just a paper packet. Do not use excessive pressure. This sounds interesting. Features stainless steel, durable, sanitary. Ideal for hunters, fishermen, campers, golfers, trail hikers, scouts, woodmen, etc. And what is it? There we go. So, doesn't look much, does it? Stainless steel. I presume we fold that out. And that goes like that. It's like a little survival cup. So you could just get that, get a little drink, you're fine, out the stream or wherever. This looks like it's never been in the packet, but, you know, great, quirky little invention.
£15 on the ticket. You won't see many more at auction.
And then on the complete extreme, I've seen up here, and I love these. Late 18th, early 19th century snuff box. A lovely little rectangular box and a great piece of social history. So tactile. This will have spent years in somebody's pocket. Paper mache with this lacquer over it. The hinge still in good order. And look at all the build-up of residue from this snuff. That is a lovely thing. And at £18, it's nothing for all that history. I'm very tempted. Haven't bought a snuff box. I love them. So we've got a proper, genuine antique and a 1960s, 70s probably, interesting, quirky item. Do I go traditional or do I go more contemporary? I'm a youngster, but I prefer the traditional.
Decision made? Back to Dawn then. And she has a friend.
That's pretty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Very interesting. The death mask of La Inconnue de la Seine.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a young girl found in the River Seine, early 1800s, and the pathologist thought she was so beautiful, he did the death mask. Still to this day, they do not know who she is.
Also known as La Belle Italienne, copies of this death mask graced the walls of many a Parisian artist's home. Nowadays, her face can be seen on first aid training mannequins.
Is she available?
Want to buy? You
Yeah,
want to buy?
yeah,
Yes.
to buy. I
If
think
you've
that's
got
nice.
£495 on you.
So back to the
that be?
snuff box.
Yeah, she's a bit out of your league, Angus.
I think I'm going to go for that.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Yeah, no worries.
And I'll give you some money, £18.
Wonderful,
there.
thank you.
So that's his second item bought. Not what you call a spending spree, though, is it? Now, Rue has made her way to the village of Lifton. She's putting her shopping on hold for something a little more thrilling. Dingle's Fairground Heritage Centre is home to a fabulous collection of antique and vintage rides and attractions which span the history of the travelling fairs in the UK. And once Rue has managed to win herself a coconut...
Yes!
She has a rendezvous with fairground historian Guy Belshaw.
The fairground goes right back to medieval times, really. There were strolling actors and menageries, all sort of sensational things like fire eaters and conjurers. So after the strolling players and the entertainers came the grand steam roundabouts. And the catalyst for this, of course, was the Industrial Revolution. And once steam could be harnessed, you could create these big Baroque-looking golden gallopers, switchbacks, that sort of thing. Once you had steam power, you could use a dynamo to produce electricity. So they had the lights as well. And it was the sort of thing that, you know, rural people hadn't seen before. It was a spectacle.
So the fairground was the heart of the community. Was it always a happy place?
It was, Rue. It was a place for happy laughter, children enjoying themselves, all the sounds of the fair. But of course, that was interrupted with the outbreak of the Great War in 1914.
The war had a devastating effect on the travelling fair. The showman's traction engines were requisitioned for the war effort. Blackout restrictions meant that the lights had to go out, and of course many of the men who worked the rides were called up to fight. But the show went on.
It was a very good morale-boosting thing to have a fun fair. And so they were encouraged to carry on under the most difficult conditions. Not only did they entertain the public during the Great War, the showmen raised a great deal of money for the war effort.
Would you say there was a lot of patriotism at the fair from the showmen?
There was, because showmen are the master of novelty.
Yes.
So they gave away flags of the Allies and the Union Jack flags, badges, all that sort of thing, military insignia. So the symbolism used during the Great War was to instill patriotism.
Rides were bedecked with Union Jacks. The targets on shooting galleries were replaced with German soldiers, and the carriages on some rides were transformed into tanks. And there was one attraction featuring a beloved British mascot that proved very popular.
The game was called Kick the Kaiser's Ass, ass being a donkey, of course, and you threw a ball, 2 balls for tuppence at the target. If you were successful and you hit the target, John Ball's legs would kick up and kick the Kaiser's ass. This is a faithful replication of the original, which is sadly worn out.
Yes, I was going to say that would have had a lot of use. So, Guy, I get 2 shots at this.
2 goes, take aim. Yes!
Yes!
Well done. Yes! Wonderful,
With
well
the
done.
same ball.
Told you it was easy.
The fairs did their part in boosting the morale of the British public through the dark days. And when the war came to an end in 1918, the fun fair was there to help people celebrate victory. The museum has one unique ride that sums up the sentiment of the time.
This has to be the most iconic fairground attraction.
The Golden Gallopers, as we call them in the business, and they are still popular today, an enduring attraction. And this one is known as the Victory Horses, because it was commissioned by a well-known showman, Mr. Tooby, who was the mayor of Doncaster, and also a travelling showman. And he commissioned it in order to get his son, who was serving on the Western Front, out of the army as soon as the war finished, so he could help with the family business once again. And what a sensation this was when it was presented to the public in 1919. So all around this magnificent machinery, you can see there is symbolism of the Great War. Around the rounding boards, there are Union flags, and you will see the pay box. There's the Dove of Peace carved into the proscenium. So the machine is covered in symbolism, a great patriotic piece of artwork, which the public really appreciated at that time. Victory had come, and the country was going to celebrate in style. And once again, we were back to all the fun of the fair.
Now, while Rue pops off to hook a duck, Angus is heading west. He's nipped over the county line into Cornwall and the town of Launceston, here to shop at the musically named As Time Goes By. It's under there somewhere.
Hello. How you doing? You all right?
OK, then.
Good to see you're open, or scaffolding, I wasn't sure.
Yes, all open, yes.
Oh, great, brilliant. It's 3 floors, is it?
3 floors, have a look around, give me a shout if you need anything.
I will do, thanks.
All right, lovely, thank you.
With a little over £150 left to spend and only 2 items bagged so far, our man is cash rich but time poor. And he's about to have company. Of all the antique shops in all the world, Rue walks into yours.
Angus,
Riri.
how are you doing? Oh,
Yeah, I'm panicking a little bit.
are you?
Yeah.
Angus, don't worry. It's not like it's the last shop of our road trip and everything's resting on it. So it's fine, chill, dude.
I don't think that helped, Rue. Come on, Angus. Best foot forward.
Wow, what an impressive set of scales. This is mounted on a cast metal base with these twin carrying handles. Must have been from a shop or something like that. Date-wise, you know, sort of Victorian, lovely cast metal. Very ornate, painted up with its copper bowl there, which is really nice. It's got brass weights. They're not the original ones for it, unfortunately. That would have really finished it off nicely. But what a great decorative piece. But £45. That is a good buy. Quite heavy, so I'll have to, you know, work out a little bit before I carry them downstairs. But, you know, that is a serious contender.
Good job they're not priced by the pound, then. Let's see what else you can find.
Nice little inkwell there. And I don't know why I'm looking at inkwells, because I've already lost money on an inkwell on this trip. But this is lovely. You've got this faceted glass base there. Art Nouveau copper top. Lovely design on it there, and I just love that period. We'd love to see a name on it, but there's no maker's name. It's got a glass liner. You'd have your ink in there, your fountain pen quill, and away you go. Nice little thing. You always got to look out for damage on these. Is there any chips to the glass? Because that could absolutely kill it. And is the hinge in good order? It's a little bit of play in there, a little bit slack, but it's functioning. £35. I like it. And if I failed with the last inkwell I had, maybe I'll succeed with this one.
He's on a roll now. Elsewhere, our other shopper is also on the prowl, and with just over £17 left, there's one part of the shop that's really calling to her. Anything taking your fancy?
I seem to have a soft spot for ceramic pot lids. They're not very functional now, but you know what? They're really pretty. These ones, there's about 6 here, all £10, and do you know why I like them? That's like a miniature work of art. But pot lids actually go back to the 1750s, so they're very, very old. And they're basically made by transfer printing onto the ceramic. The pots haven't necessarily survived, but you're seeing these pot lids pop up in antique shops. Now, about 10 years ago, they were very fashionable, but they're still hotly collected. If I can get a mixture of 3 or 4 pot lids for my £17 something, I would happily take those to auction because I think there's got to be some profit in it.
Better consult with shopkeeper Keith then.
You've got these priced up at £10 each?
Yes.
Okay. I've seen sale signs, quite a few, 25, 50 and 75.
Yes.
Any of those numbers apply to these?
It won't be the higher numbers, but I can do something on it for you.
I have in my pocket £17 and 24 pence.
Right.
My very last penny
Yes.
on my road trip with Angus.
As it's you, I will do 3 for the £17.
That's very fair, Keith. Thank you so much.
you.
You don't ask, you don't get.
That's very true.
And that's her wiped out. Time for a spot of pick and mix, I think.
Well, I'm in the mood for anchovy paste because who doesn't want anchovy paste? Maybe some homemade potted meats on the side and some more anchovy paste.
Good choice.
My breath will not be great in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, back to Angus. Inkwell and scales. Now, on the list. Is he still in the zone?
What we've got here is a large, what we call Iznik vase. Terracotta base, this tin glaze on it, sort of Persian, Middle Eastern, sort of Turkish, and that sort of area. And actually, this is starting to become really popular and collectible. Looking at it, I don't think it's a really early one. It's always hard to date, is this? It's a very specialist subject set. I would say early 20th, turn of the century maybe, perhaps. There's a little bit of restoration just there by the looks of it, being patched in and filled. Now, sometimes these can do really well. There was a massive charger that sold recently, and it made hundreds of thousands, but it had the right signature on it.
Some of the really early ones can fetch millions at auction. Here's hoping, Angus.
£55. You know what? Let's see what we can do on that. It's a very chancy piece. I might live to regret it, or I might be smiling come at the end of the auction.
Let's take all your goodies to Keith then. See if there's a deal to be done.
I found a few items.
Yes.
The inkwell,
Yes.
the vase,
Yes.
and there's also a set of scales ticketed at 45.
Right, OK.
Vase 55,
Yep.
inkwell 35.
You're looking to buy all 3, yes?
If it helps, I will buy all 3,
Right,
yes.
OK.
That's a grand total of £135.
I can do a discount on it, £120 for the 3.
23.
You think it's too cheap, don't you?
No flies on Keith.
Couldn't do slightly more?
It would be 115 for the 3 items, but that really would be it.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
So that's £30 for the inkwell, 40 for the scales, and 45 for the vase, and that's it. The end of all your shopping.
Angus, we're done.
I know, but I'm feeling nervous. Mr. Confident, I've been all the way through this, and you've broken me, Rue. I'm feeling really nervous about this last auction.
We can do no more apart from enjoy the auction.
Come on, then.
And that's where you're headed next. After some shut-eye, of course. We've travelled almost 1,000 miles on this jaunt, but Clevedon's the end of the line for our 2 trippers.
Rue, this is it, last one.
I know, one whole week of shopping, buying antiques, driving around comes down to now.
Could go either way.
But we're going to ace this, aren't we?
We will. Come on.
Put it there, partner. Yeah.
I think they're in it together for this one. It's been an epic trip across 3 countries, but it all comes to a close here. Our pair are going to auction for the last time at Clevedon Sale Rooms. Angus paid out £153 on his 5 auction lots.
These are the nicest scales I have ever seen. I think Angus has done really, really well. Look at that Victorian green. And this, that's pure copper. Usually with scales, you have a nap and you wait till that one's gone. But this one is really tip-top.
Rue burned through all her £67.24, also on 5 lots.
My word, Rue's gone rural on me. Look at this, a vintage farming bygone. This heavy-duty hay knife there. It's great. I mean, I think my Yorkshireness is rubbing off on her. £15 paid for it. Do you know what? That's not a lot for a nice decorative item. And it's nice to get her away from the pretty shiny things, more onto my sort of heavy industrial metalware.
High praise indeed, but will our auctioneer Mark Huddleston be as complimentary about their buys?
Pot lids are quite a specialist area of collecting. These ones do have some damage, which I think will prevent them making an awful lot, but hopefully someone on the internet will see them. I think the Isnick vase could possibly be the star of the show today. It fits in with lots of modern interiors, it's got cheerful colours and a good design. I would hope we might get above the £50 mark.
Sounds promising. Right, let's get comfortable, shall we?
Here we are, Rue.
I know, we're at the auction for the last time on our trip.
No, it's going to be good though, isn't it?
It's going to be, I've got a really good feeling in my bones.
Have you?
I do.
Let's weigh in with Angus's scales then.
It could all be in the balance, couldn't it?
20 is my bid, 22 seated and I'm out. At £22, who's got 25 for me now? 25 further back, 28 for you, madam? 28, thank you, and 30.
It's creeping up. You've got online and room bidders.
Seated at £28, who's got 30 for me now? The bid's £28 seated, are we all finished and done at 28?
They're a bargain.
Yep, they weren't tipping in your favour, were they?
They were worth a lot more.
Another bit of heavy metal now. Rue's hay knife.
Interest here with me at £10, where's 12? £10 my bid and where's 12? 12 online, looking for 15 now. 15, 18, competition online,
Come on.
20, 20
Come on.
going.
People of
Still climbing online.
People of the
We've got 20,
internet.
22 now. Anyone in the room? I've got £22 here. I'm selling to the net at £22.
A little bit more.
Internet.
Not a huge result, but you're starting off in the right direction, Rue.
It's a profit.
It is a profit.
The auctioneer's favourite next, the Isnick vase.
I've got £35 on commission, I want 40.
Straight in.
35 is my bid. Jumps to £140 online, 150 is the next bid. 140 is the bid, where's 150? Online at 140.
That went from 30 to 140
Where's the room at 150?
in the blink of an eye.
Selling to the internet at £140. Are we all finished and done? Nobody in the room, then I'm selling to the internet at £140.
I'm happy with that.
Well done.
Indeed, somebody definitely wanted that.
You're shocked, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now, if this is a quake, you need an awful lot of whiskey.
20 the internet, where's 22
Come on,
now?
internet, come on.
20 is the bid, I need 22. At £20 I'm online, selling at 20. Are we all finished and done at £20?
You're unlucky there.
But at least it washed its face. Maybe it's a basin.
It's not a loss.
No.
It's not a profit. It's in no man's land.
Angus's second inkwell of the trip. Can this succeed where the other one failed?
£10 is my bid.
Well, we're
Give me
off,
12,
we're off,
12 on
we're
the
off.
internet. Where's 15 now? 15 online. 18 is the next bid. Online at 15. Where's 18? Online, 18 in the room. Against you, internet. I've taken the room already at
It looks
£18 standing.
beautiful.
Bid me 20 now to stay in. £18, 20 a fresh place. 22 just in time. 25, sir. 22 is online.
On the
25
internet.
seats.
Oh, that
In the
was-
room at 25
gavel was
now.
about
Need
to go down.
28 internet to stay in. 25 is the bid. Second time of asking. 25 will take it.
Note to Angus, no more inkwells.
Well, I'm not happy, but it's a £5 loss. It's not the end of the world.
Rue's tea knife set now. Nice box, mind you.
I've got 8, 10, £12 is my bid.
Yes.
I need 15 now. £12
Come on.
here with me.
Come on.
Art Deco style at £12. I need 15. £12 here with
Come
me
on.
on commission. Who's
Come
got
on, come on,
15 for me now? Selling to the book then at £12. Are we all done? Fair warning at 12.
A little bit more. Well, it's
Slight profit.
It's a profit.
But it's not going to do much to help you catch Angus.
At least it got into double figures.
It's good.
Ocarina time now. Can this hit the right note?
I even managed to play a tune on it, you know.
No, you didn't, Angus. Trust me.
20 online straight away. 22
Straight
the
away.
next bid. Looking
Excellent.
for £22 now. £20 online. 22 in the room. 25 internet. with the room at £22, hammers up at 22.
Your bid, thank you, 1598.
It's a profit.
They say that a lot, don't they? Another tiddler, though.
It's like you're a magnet to these quirky things. You just find them in a dusty shop, pull them out, put them into auction and make profit.
Not always.
No, that's true.
Rue's pot lids now. Perfect if you have some uncovered anchovy paste.
Do you think anchovy paste is quite popular these days?
No.
I've got 10, 12, 15 is my bid. Where's 18?
15, OK, come on.
£15 here. I need 18 on the pot lids. At 15, 18 in the room. Where's 20 now? Looking for £20. 18, my bid is seated.
Wee bit more.
Only 20 to stay in. Seems cheap at £18.
It is
Selling for the
cheap.
room at 18.
And that's a whopping 76p profit. She's not made a loss yet, mind you.
At least it's the right direction.
Angus's final lot, the papier-mâché snuff box.
I've got a £10 bid on commission. I
10.
need 12 now. 12 and I'm out. The internet at 12. Where's 15? 15 seated, thank you. 18 internet to stay in. 15 is the bid in the room. Selling to the room at £15. Quickly if you're coming in, hammers up at £15.
The bidders turn their noses up at that.
Small loss, but it all helps you, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It narrows that gap a
A
little
little
bit
bit,
more.
yeah.
Rue's last chance now, her £5 perfume pot.
I've got £15. I need
15?
18 now. 15 is the bid. I need 18. 18 the internet. Who's got 20 now? 18 online. I need 20. 20, thank you. Seated at 20. 22 the next bid. Internet to stay in.
Lovely,
I've got
it is.
£20. £20 the bid. I need 22. 22 fresh place. 25. Are we all finished and done? Selling this side of the room at £22. Are we finished and done at 22?
I think you've done all right there. Well
I'm
done,
quite
right?
happy with that, actually.
Yeah.
You bet, more than quadrupled in price. If only you'd managed that all the way through, though.
What a perfect end to the road trip. I'm really chuffed.
It's been good, hasn't it? We've had some good times. Come on.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to
Yeah,
cry.
come on.
I'm not going to cry.
Oh, it's all so emotional. Rue started this leg on only £67.24p. But, joy of joys, she made a profit. After sale room fees, her final total ends up at £77.08. Angus also made a profit. After costs, he's increased his funds to £228.98p. And that means he's emerged victorious. Well done, that man. And all final profits go to children in need.
Angus,
Rue,
congratulations.
thank you so much. Well, it's been a great trip. It's been wonderful.
It has. It's been a blast. But do you know what the sad thing is now?
It's over.
This is our official goodbye.
I know. Well, here's to the next trip.
Oh, I'm going to miss
Come on.
you, old chap.
We're gonna miss you both. Remember, it's all about the journey, not the destination.
I got a nice guitar and tires in my car. I got most of the needs and trips for the scenes. I'm out and about, so I'm in with a show. I got a fair bit of chat, but better than that. Food in my belly and a life
It's
for my
not
day.
you.
Nothing's gonna bring me down. What did he?
Next time, a brand new pair of experts hit the road.
Phil, first road trip together?
How cool is that, Steph?
They're living life on the edge
I'm not too fond of heights.
and ready to rumble
Yay!
at an auction showdown.
It's a very funny game.
It is a funny game.